So in this video we're going to think about hair washing and how to manage it when it can be difficult for some children. So in our previous videos we've thought about deep pressure, that nice firm touch on your head or on any part of your body that can help to calm your nervous system down. This works particularly effectively when it comes to hair washing. When we're washing our hair, we're using light tickly touch on our head, which a lot of people can be very sensitive to. By applying some deep pressure before we begin hair washing, it can make our head feel less sensitive. Sometimes children might like to do this themselves so that they're in control of how much pressure they're putting on their head. It might be that they want to wash their own hair so that they're in control of the activity. Or it might be that they want you to do it for them, but perhaps using a little bit of extra pressure to normal. Another thing that you want to think about before starting your hair washing is what time of day it's happening. So perhaps if you're trying to do it late in the evening when children are tired and they've had a busy day at school, their sensory systems might fire off a little bit more easily. What I mean by that is their head might feel a little bit more sensitive because generally the child feels a bit more sensitive after a busy, tiring day. It might be helpful to think about hair washing happening at a different time of day, straight after school, in the morning, in the middle of the evening. Have a think about what works best in your family and when your child is calmest. The other thing is, depending on the age of your child, making bath time fun. Perhaps with small children it might be nice for it to be a fun activity where play happens, where you have ducks or boats in the bath and it's a nice environment, and then in the middle of the nice environment you can engage in the hair washing, which is the less favoured activity. To make it a little bit easier, you might think about using one of the caps, so you can get a cap with a visor that stops the water running down onto the child's face. Tipping the child's head back can also help, although some children can be sensitive to having their head moved in space. It's also worth thinking about whether children prefer to have baths or showers. Some children prefer the sensation of the running water of a shower, some prefer the deep pressure of a bath. It's helpful to experiment with your child to find out what sort of sensory water sensations work best for them. The other thing is, it can be very tempting when children are extremely sensitive to having their hair washed to do it the minimum amount possible. This works for some people, but the disadvantage of this is it becomes very unpredictable for the child. And if it's unpredictable, anxiety levels raise, and this makes us more sensitive in our sensory systems. We need anxiety levels to be low for our sensory systems to be able to cope with sensation. If you have a regular routine, whether that's every day or every other day, perhaps have a visual schedule where it's clearly marked out on the calendar which days you're going to be washing your child's hair. They come to accept it as part of their routine, they come to know when it's going to happen, and what we know is that children with sensory processing difficulties find it much easier to cope if they have predictability and routine. The last thing that might be helpful is to explain to the child that they can opt out of the activity at any point in time they need it. Perhaps have a timeout card or a signal that the child can give you when they've had too much of the hair washing. You can take a break and resume when the child feels ready. By putting the child back in control, they know that you're not going to do anything unpredictable, and this will lower their anxiety levels.